About 90,000 temporary foreign workers come to Canada. One sector you may not realize depends on them is the fast food industry. In fact, it's estimated that by 2015 it will be short 35,000 workers. Coming to this country for a job in a fast food outlet can be an attractive prospect. No need for skilled training, no hard labor. But as Duncan McHugh tells us, some franchises are not exactly delivering the Canadian dream.
When you roll up for a double-double, it's more and more likely you'll be served by a temporary foreign worker. And Eric Flores, who came to Canada from Mexico seeking his fortune, tells a cautionary tale about working for an iconic Canadian food chain.
I did my best on Tim Hortons and everything, and I think he just didn't care about us.
Flores was hired under the temporary foreign worker program to work in Regina, but things were difficult from the get-go. His accommodation, the home of a friend of the restaurant owner, sharing a basement with 6 other workers from Mexico. A 3-bedroom suite, no kitchen and no private entry. They each paid $500 to $600 per month rent.
Almost my full money, it just was on food and the rent.
When workers complained to local media about improper deductions and missing pay, they were fired.
This is the government document that says he's not allowed to charge you more than 1/3 of your gross monthly wages.
This business owner welcomed Flores into her home, helping him apply for a work permit and file labor complaints.
That's how you treat cattle in Saskatchewan. That's not how you treat people. The money that they've spent on staying in Canada or in finding suitable places to live, Tim Hortons needs to address that because they had an obligation to them, and they failed.
Tim Hortons says the owner acted in good faith and corrected errors in pay. The rest, landlord-tenant issues.
I think you did a really good job.
Yet, Tim Hortons is also facing a human rights action in British Columbia, filed by Eric DeSanz and 3 other former workers from Mexico.
I decided to come back to Canada. Now I'm not working right now. I'm here in Mexico. It's not fair what happened to the other guys at night.
They were hired to work at Tim Hortons in Dawson Creek last winter. They say their boss forced them to live in a home he owned, where 10 other Mexican workers lived, that he charged them double rent, bunked them 2 per room, and ignored their complaints.
If you're not agreed with my rent or with my way to do the thing here, you need to quit and I send you back to Mexico.
The complaint alleges the workers weren't trained properly and the owner made frequent racist comments, calling them lazy and Mexican idiots, once stating, "Canadians aren't meant to work in bakeries. That's why I spend so much money to bring Mexicans here."
I don't think anyone in Canada wants to have their double-double come at the cost of the exploitation of workers.
It's a bunch of crap.
Tony Vandenbosch no longer owns the franchises but denies mistreating anyone.
Feeding them and housing them, and then to do that so that they'll take off or leave, not want to be here. Does that make any sense, that story? That would just hurt my business.
Right now there's a tidal wave coming at us. It's called shortage of labor.
This restaurant industry advocate says most foreign workers are treated fairly and they're urgently needed.
By 2015, we're projecting that we'll have a shortage of 35,000 people, and by 2020, 75,000. We're going to have more and more temporary foreign workers. We have to make sure it's done as properly as it should be done.
We're going to ask them for all of your rent.
Back in Regina, Eric Flores is grateful to Mary Stremecki for opening her home, but he's been idle for months, waiting and hoping for a work permit.
If I go back to Mexico, if I try to come back, maybe I'm not going to be able.
Always fresh.
Head office at Tim Hortons told CBC News in an email it feels good about the working environment it offers temporary foreign workers, but declined a request for a TV interview. Duncan McHugh, CBC News, Vancouver.
Claire is standing by with your weather forecast.